No, not under there.
Outside the camera.
This is Triple Think. 3 things: what we've learned, what we've done, what we're doing. As usual, thank you very much for watching this. I'm a little bit nervous about this vlog because I am going to be trying to give some advice, but I don't think I've got the right advice because I don't think I have the knowledge of the kind of stuff that I'm being asked, but I'm going to go for it anyway. And also I am going to ask you lot to help answer these questions that I have been asked. Anyway, what we've learned. I have learned that I need to be good to my word. A few months ago, a woman called Ivon reached out to me on LinkedIn and asked me a couple of questions. I said I would respond to her, and I didn't. There were 2 things that happened. I completely lost track of time. But secondly, I think somewhere in my psyche, I was feeling that if I did respond, even though I said I would, I wasn't going to be able to answer those questions properly, and I would be selling her a dud, as it were. So I am going to answer the questions, but I'm also going to say, can you guys help answer these questions too, because they're a bit out of my comfort zone of what my knowledge is. What strategy would I recommend in order to establish a US-based entertainment film company, raising funds and building a brand? Now that's a pretty massive question. I'm not thinking about whether it's US based, and I'm also not thinking about whether it's a film company. All I'm going to think about now is this is somebody who's creating content. So if I were her, and this is what I'm trying to do anyway, I would put a lot of content out. I would start building my reputation and my portfolio and showing what we're about. I would also be doing things off my own back, which is what we did. So for our Hacker Story film, which has gone down tremendously well, obviously we don't have the distribution of kind of like the big companies like cinema or Netflix or anything like that. However, we do have distribution online, and we have been taking it around the UK. So we took a risk by self-funding our own short documentary, and that has come back and paid us many, many dividends. So instead of us waiting for permission to do this stuff, we have gone out and created our own content, taken it to organisations and said, this is what we do, we want to do this for you too. That's how we've been building our portfolio. When it comes to raising funds, I've done it both ways. So I used to have a startup called Civic Boom. It was brilliant, but it was also awful. You can read about what happened to Civic Boom on Virgin's blog I wrote a few years ago. I am now of the opinion that if you can scale under your own steam, do it. It is hard work, but you have that control, and you have that the buck really does stop with you. Investment for the sake of running a company, personally have tried that, and it sat very uncomfortably with me. It wasn't because we didn't get enough money, or we didn't get enough money in the end, but it was about us not understanding our marketplace. And the best way to understand your marketplace, again, is just go out there and test things and test things and test things for as long as possible without giving up any equity, without giving up any kind of collateral that is important to you. Because every time you give away some equity to an investor, that's a little bit less than you're going to control, a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less. When you have investors, rightly so, the pressure's on. And some people thrive under that pressure. I would not do it that way again, which is why with Think Nation, we haven't taken any investment. We have 0 investment. We have been doing this from scratch. We have been building the brand. We have been collaborating with interesting partners, but we've been doing it without worrying that we're at some point going to need to cash in with something. And that's a freedom, but it's hard work. It's really, really hard work. So if you, again, this is only personal. If you don't have to take investment, don't. Find other ways of doing things. However, if you do feel like going for investment is your way forward, there are different ways of doing it. Crowdfunding is, some people think it's great, some people think it's not so great. For creative projects, I think crowdfunding can work. You can request investment from many, many different people. They get a reward of some kind if it's around building creating a film or something like that. Actual people investment, often they want to see something that's actually got traction already, which comes back to my previous, you're going to have to do something in the first place. Increasingly rarely are people going to go, that's a great idea, here's $100,000 or here's £100,000. You have to show that you've got traction. You have to show that you've got some kind of evidence that you're doing something. The hands-on investors, if they want to be part of your company, you have to be really, really clear that you have a similar match in vision of where you're going. Now, the way that they want to go around it might be a little bit different. They can bring experience and different ways of doing things, but you still got to remember you are in that. You would be insane not to do background checks on investors. You would be insane not to go and say, well, what kind of person is this person? Where's their track record? Why are they in it? It's just as important for you to interview the investors as it is for them to go, hey, we like what you're doing. Understand the expectations of your investors. How long do they want to stay in it? What are they going to want from it? Are they going to want a quick flip? Do they want to kind of like see it grow to X? How are you going to grow it to X? What then? Are you going to need more investment? Speak to angel investment organisations, speak to investors, go to the right organisations and do your research. I'm interested in what we think so we can collectively help Ivon. What we've done, we did the podcast called the ZX Spectrum. There must be some people out there who kind of like understand the title. Anyway, Brandon's Generation Z, I'm Generation X. We're looking at technology, marketing, media, crossing that for young people and our intergenerational views on those kinds of things. The first one went up last week. Opting out of these things and kind of like almost like, protecting your privacy or how you get, what you are faced with, your consumption of content becomes a premium.
Yeah. And then it becomes difficult to advertise.
Also, I'm most excited that we're on Spotify because that means that you can just follow us and get a little ping every time we upload. It's going to be every couple of weeks or so. Last week we looked at the Love Island effect. We managed to talk about pretty much everything. Philosophy, economics, technology, even the World Cup. It was our first go at this. We will improve, but I think it would be really good if you want to have a listen to that. And we'd be very much appreciative if you did. The second one is coming out next week. I'm beginning to feel more and more about, I want to explore why young people are feeling so stressed. Does social media play a role? Are we putting too much expectation on young people? This idea of perfection, this idea that if you believe you can achieve anything, is that a reality? Are we building up young people to a point where it's not real, it's not realistic? But at the same time, we're bemoaning the fact they're not doing anything. So it's complex. We've got a couple of events coming up, a couple of projects that we're running concurrently. One is for Project Twist It, which I have been talking about in the last few vlogs. The other one is Brighton Digital Festival. So we're doing a Think Nation for Brighton Digital Festival on October the 13th. It's going to be at Platform 9, Tower Point, Brighton. One of the things that we have secured is that we're going to be working with young filmmakers from DV8. DV8 is a college here in Brighton. They're going to be about 16 to 17 year olds. They're going to be doing visual responses, film responses to these big questions. It's going to be part of their kind of like their education in the run up to the main event. The big questions are going to be aligned to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The questions are, what tech would you create to help the homeless in Brighton? Can tech help improve access to mental health support for young people in the city? How can AI create a fairer housing solution in Brighton? And what tech could we apply to eliminate beach pollution? These questions are really important for young people in Brighton. They're also questions that we feel could be translated to other areas. And they're issues that a lot of young people are probably feeling, on a global level as well. Hence, we're attaching them to the Sustainable Development Goals. Do you want to see Kipper?
Up. Who's that? Should we turn you around in a really old... Who's that? Yeah,
Good boy. We missed you. That's it. Thank you very much for watching, listening, whatever you're doing. Help answer those questions for Ivon. Come to our event on October the 13th. Thank you very, very much. Goodbye. Hope you enjoyed Triple Think. Share, subscribe, leave a comment. Love it or hate it, let me know what you thought. For more from Think Nation, check out thinknation.co. You can follow Think Nation at ThinkNat and myself, Lizzie Hodgson, at LHDGSN. You can find Think Nation on Facebook and Be Think Nation on Medium. We also podcast Triple Think on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and more via Anchor.